What is up, everybody? It is Birds time, right? Tony Cutillo Show here live on YouTube. Make sure you're liking and subscribing like we always ask you to do here. And here's the thing, man. You want to get on the show. I want to hear everybody, man. Well, I know everybody's watching and listening in different areas, whether it be on Twitch, whether it be on X, whether it be on Facebook. I know I got a lot of Facebook family, man. A lot of Facebook family, whether you're commenting, listen, the call-in line is open. Very, very simple, man. It couldn't be easier. If you want to join the show, it's right there. All you need to do is click on the link on your phone and boom, you can get involved. Okay. Listen, I think that it doesn't even comment on Facebook, just so you know. So I'm going to get on Facebook right now and I am going to put it in here, right here. You want to be live on the show and hit share now. We're in. So now you have the link if you're on Facebook. If you want to be live on the show, it's very, very simple. You don't need a camera. Okay. You don't need that. All you need is a phone. Very, very simple. Lots to talk about tonight, man. What an unbelievable game. What an unbelievable game. We have a problem in this town for some reason that's just accepting the win, right? We have a problem in this town for just accepting that we won a game. And, I know that we're getting ripped apart in several different areas, on a national mainstream. It doesn't matter, man. Listen, I'm just going to say this one time. I'm going to say it again. We're going to New Orleans, okay? The path is there. The gods have spoken because we definitely could have lost that game yesterday. Listen, if shout out to Jalen Carter. I mean, listen, we don't have to keep beating that horse and go over it and over it again, but we understand what happened in that game. Okay, that takes it to the house and basically says, here it is, man. I am here to save the day. I am here because we are going to the Super Bowl. And then we get those three plays, barely take any, like I said, 13 seconds off the clock. Terrible clock management. I don't know why we threw on second down. It was just you take a sack, just a lot of different things that didn't add up for me on that drive. But you know what? Here's the thing. Let me just open up by saying, I don't care anymore. Like, I honestly don't care. We have been through so much, as a team, so much adversity as a team. And look at it, the way this team is built. There's so many performances that I want to talk about from this game. And right off the bat, I apologize for everybody looking at my lip, man. Like, when it's cold out, my lips get chapped, dude. And I bit my lip the other day when I was outside shoveling, and man, does it hurt. But it is what it is. If you can get past that, we're good to go. But there's so many standout performances that I want to talk about. I also have some things I want to share. I want to go over the 2023 draft real fast. Look at, all these teams that passed up Jalen Carter, who they took instead, who had the strong draft in 2023. I think there was two teams. One of them is us, who made the most impact in the first round. So I want to talk about that. But again, if you want to get live on the air right here, you want to join the show, all you need to do is click on the link, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on X. I put it out there. Seriously, just click on it. Boom. I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear how you're feeling. I want to hear, did you think the game was over? Did you think we were going to lose? And going forward, what do you think? Because, like I said, I don't care anymore. Like, I don't care. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care what the limitations are. It doesn't matter to me. What matters is that we win a damn football game. Okay? We have to start remembering. We go back to when we won this game and we won the Super Bowl against Tom Brady. Did anybody at that time think the Philadelphia Eagles and Nick Foles were going to go, shot for shot with Tom Brady and New England Patriots? Hell no. Absolutely not. Nobody thought that, right? Nobody thought that. Listen, I'm just getting a couple text messages. If you're on Facebook, watching on Facebook, I can tell you right now, I'm not getting your comments. Okay, they are not coming through. You need to go to YouTube. You need to go over to YouTube. Very, very simple. Just go to YouTube, whether it's on the app or on your computer, youtube.com. Type in Tony Cutillo Show. Boom. Hit like, hit subscribe, and you put your comments away. They'll all come into the show. Okay. But who thought that we were going to go toe to toe with Tom Brady? I know I didn't, and a lot of people didn't, right? But it happened, right? It happened. Julio Jones almost catches a ball, before that for the Atlanta Falcons from Matt Ryan. Should have caught the ball, but he falls down, right? Things happen. We didn't look great, okay? It's all about getting to the dance, and anything can happen. And there's so many things that happened yesterday that, in my opinion, that showed me why I feel so confident in this team. Okay. You see the headline right there, riding Jalen Carter and Saquon Barkley to New Orleans, right? I don't, I don't even think that's an understatement. I don't think there's any way around it. This isn't Jalen Hurts. It's going to take us to the promised land. Okay. We understand that. AJ Brown's not taking us to the promised land. We understand that. Okay. It's Saquon Barkley and it's Jalen Carter. That's who's taking us to the promised land. And if you watch what they did yesterday, let's just start with Saquon. Let's start with the obvious of Saquon and Jalen. Then I want to get to some other standout performers that, things that I noticed in the games on why I feel so good about this team. Again, if you're checking in on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. A lot of big different things coming by, different segments, different interviews, doing a lot of things right here on the Tony Cutillo Show. If you're on Facebook, swing over, get over to YouTube, man. Because I'm not getting your comments in. I know a lot of people are hitting me up trying to comment, not getting them, and I wind up getting them after the show is over. So get over to YouTube. Let me know what you feel. Let me know. I know it's national championship night, but I'm not a real college football guy, so I honestly don't care. I'm here talking about birds. Okay, the birds. That didn't sound right. Talking about the birds, but I want to refresh everybody's memory for a minute. And I love this, and I want to bring this back to when Saquon Barkley. Do we remember this? Right. I want to bring this back.
And then you go.
Okay, I want to bring this back because this was again from WIP. I'm going to bring this up, and I want you guys to listen and hear this because think about where we're at now, right? Think about where, my man Adam checking this says, "What's up? Another step closer." Another step, Adam. It's another step. And just think about where we were and where we are now. Okay. And this was Saquon Barkley. I want to bring this up. This was Saquon Barkley. This was him. And, when in the offseason, after he signed, okay, doing an interview. Listen up. Just let's start this from the beginning, right? Let's start this from the beginning. This is where it all started.
And then you go into the meeting, you sit in that team meeting, you look, and you're just like, damn, like there's some ballers on this team. Like you knew it going against them, and when you're game planning against them, but like you're in that room, and then you're just like, oh no, that's Jalen, that's Lane, that's AJ Brown. Like you're not. I'm a fan of the game, so seeing all those guys, and it's like, all right, like this something could be special here, but we gotta make it happen.
Did you meet Big Dom?
Big Dom. He's the guy.
What's the story of Big Dom? What did you learn about him?
He's the guy. Like that's the only thing I just know. Like he's the guy. Like whatever you need, like he's the guy. Like he's gonna get it done. And he just like it's like Philly. Like it's so crazy when you see it from the opposite side. Like like I said, I was in New York and going against him. Like you just like got a different viewpoint of everybody. But then,
well, what did you think of them compared to like what the reality is? You saw them as what? Like what was Philadelphia when you were a New York Giant?
Crazy, but they're still crazy, but in a different way. Like it was more of like when you're on the Giant side, you're like, oh, these motherfuckers are insane. Yeah. But like in this side, you're like, oh no, it's like they bleed this. Like this is Philly. Like this is like it's Eagles, Flyers, Philly. Like they bleed this. Like we lose on Sunday, like they having a bad week. Like if it impacts their week. Like Philly fans and even like Nick, like when Nick, I remember, playing in playing him in the playoffs, and like you see him across the sideline, and like he's doing all this stuff like that, and like we on that side, you're just like, oh man, like I know I would never stand that guy. And then, like, I'm in meetings with him, and he's the head coach, and I'm sitting and talking to him, and now me and him are like this, like we're locked in. And it's like same thing with Jalen, same thing with all those guys. So it's like it's different from seeing it that side, but when you're here, and it's like, especially the fans, it's like wow, like it gives you like similar to that college vibe. And like me going to Penn State, a big school, and those games that I was able to play there, like being on the side, I remember playing the Link Division playoffs, and Uzi came out and the stadium was just rocking. Or even in the Christmas game, like they had like this light thing. I was like, damn, I was like, this joint is crazy. But like now it's like, you're like, I can't wait. Like, I'm itching. I can't wait for camp. Like, I can't wait for the season. Like, I can't wait to that first game. Obviously, our first game is in Brazil, which is gonna be pretty cool. Yeah. But first time in the Link, like scoring a touchdown in there, like feeling that atmosphere, like knowing like how passionate this team is, like knowing they're all about you going out there, giving your best, winning, playing tough, playing hard, and like just buying into that culture. Like that's what I'm really looking forward to doing.
You see, that's why you gotta love Saquon, right? That's why you gotta love Saquon. And here's the thing about that. What the reason why I wanted to play that, the reason why I brought that on, because there's a couple things standing out for me, with that. Okay. Number one, one of the biggest things that standing out to me at that time was college atmosphere. He brought up Penn State, right? He brought up what it felt like when he signed with the Eagles, the energy that he was already getting before he even stepped foot onto the practice field, right? He brought that up, and I think that's huge because, number one, when you're in the league for 4, 5, 6 years, especially when you're playing for a team and an organization that is just, really, really down at the bottom of the shithole, man. Let's be honest. And, you go through all that trash for years, and you're putting your best effort forward. And then we all know what happened, right? But to be able to rejuvenate yourself, to be able to take all that bad and then transfer that energy and say, you know what? This is a new start, but I'm already feeling rejuvenated because I know what kind of team I'm going to. And I think, again, nobody else except the New England Patriots have been to more NFC Championship games in the last 24 years. You do realize that, right? Nobody else except the New England Patriots. That's the culture. And you heard that word culture by Saquon. You heard the word culture. And, you heard him talk about Big Dom. You heard him talk about Nick Sirianni. Like, the culture is so huge, man. Like, everything, it started right in the beginning. For Saquon, it started right in the beginning. It started in the beginning, and it already started to give him those goosebumps. It already started for him saying, man, what I'm going to be able to do on this team, right? It already started for him. And that's what makes me so, or I should say that's what made me so intrigued when he did sign here. And a lot, when a lot of people, again, were saying, I don't know, they paid him too much money. Listen, you see all the people coming out now, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but let me just tell you something. I'm going to say this, I'm going to say it again. Me, okay? Me. In the offseason, in August, I'm going to break up the tracks, okay? I'm going to break up the clips from the Sirius show, and I hosted every Sunday night. When I said that Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley were going to relive and revive the running back market in the NFL because of the situations that they were going to. And now everybody wants to make that a story. Come on, man. That's, what that's called? That's called lazy media. Okay? That's called. That's called people that are living on their followers and their audience and not putting in work to get the right information. Because all they're doing is they're being stagnant. And they're saying, you know what, doesn't matter. I'm just going to piggyback off of everything else because I don't need the work. Okay? Well, guess what? I'm never going to be that way. And I'm just saying it because I hate when I go on there and I start to say it. I hate when I go on there and see people bring up stuff that I brought up months ago. Okay. But now we're starting to see it. I heard a couple of people talk about Clint Hurt. Okay, the defensive line coach for the Philadelphia Eagles that I talked about in friggin' July. That I said this dude could be the MVP of the coaching staff. And what is he doing with that with that defensive line? And it's not just Jalen Carter who we're going to get. It's Milton Williams. It's Obigoji or whatever the hell the guy's name is, okay, that I can't pronounce. Okay, but these guys that come in here, okay, they produce. They have a culture. Clint Hurt comes from a championship mindset, comes from a Hall of Fame coach in Pete Carroll. Okay, when you bring guys in like that, guess what? It's infectious. Okay, that energy, it just infects throughout the entire team. Okay, and now people are just talking about it, and that pisses me off. Okay, because I've known him for a while. But getting back to Saquon, I want to show another clip, and this might possibly be the best clip, of his run that I think that'll go down forever. Okay, because just looking at when you watch this, I want you to look at the fans in the background. I want you to look at the fans in the stands. I want you just to look at them and the emotion and the elation that is just coming across the link, man, because of this run. I really, because this is what I'm saying. Man, this is the energy that you're going to feel. When you can feel the energy come through the screen, okay, that's when you know you have something special. So I want you to watch this because, like I said, it's only 10 seconds. Okay, it's only 10 seconds, but I want you to watch this because, like I said, you could see exactly the conviction of the fans and the energy of the fans, and because we all know something special is starting to happen. So let me share this screen for you guys, and I want to bring this up, and here we go. Watch this. I mean, look at it again, man. Look at those fans. I mean, you cannot make that up. You cannot make that up, right? And just watching that, right? Just watching that. Adam says, I haven't heard any Saquon hate. Everyone loves him. Oh, I agree, man. Listen, I agree. No haters. No haters at all. What I'm saying, though, Adam, is the people that, again, he's full on stimming there. Yo, what's up, my man? Listen, I'm serious, Adam. Like, I haven't heard anything from Philly, obviously, right? Anything from Philly. Yeah, nobody there. Nobody knows their shit like you, Tony. I don't know about that. Colby John says, laugh my ass off. Full on stimming there. Listen, man, he was having a ball. And, just from what we're witnessing, okay, it's come to a point where this is not just the offensive line. Okay, I do want to say, and again, we have one of the best offensive lines we've probably ever seen in the city of Philadelphia. I mean, we go back with some offensive lines, okay? We do. We go back with some offensive lines. Again, everybody checking in on YouTube. If you're not liking and subscribing, please do that. Please like the show. Subscribe to the channel. More and more of this coming through. As always, Tony Cutillo Show goes live 2 nights a week, as well as different segments sparsed out throughout, and as well as the betting as well, powered by OddsShopper at Tails. Again, man, we're up 10 units, about a $70 profit if you're betting $5 on a plus money prop train and having a ball doing that as well. But looking at Saquon Barkley and looking at this offensive line, and I know a lot of people want to say, that's the first thing I want to talk about. But here's what I will say. There were so many instances in these games where Saquon, you could tell, he already knew what was happening. He knew where that safety was coming up. He knew where that linebacker was going to try to hit a gap, right? He understood that's special, okay? That's special. And another thing I want to say about these running games and these running attacks and these running plays is can we give some goddamn respect to Jalen Hurts on these two, please? Like, we need to give some friggin' respect to Jalen Hurts for actually calling the right audibles, calling the right checks, okay, at the line. When he's got to kill, he's got to kill. Multiple times. Remember, we heard all about the offseason, right? About Jason Kelce not being there, not being able to call the checkdowns, not being able to call the audibles at the line. It was all going to have to be Jalen, right? Everybody was scared. Everybody was like, oh no, Jalen, is he going to be able to do it? Is he going to be able to do it, right? I see all this hate going on Jalen Hurts about can't throw touchdowns, he can't pass a ball, he can't do this, he can't do that. But nobody's stepping up and saying, yo, Jalen, great call at the line. Nobody stepping up, go, Jalen. Man, what a way to kill that at the line. Hey, Jalen, what a way to move that guy in motion. Hey, Jalen, great audible. Nobody's saying it. You know why? Because nobody wants to bring up the good shit when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Everybody wants to bring up the bad shit all the time. Everybody wants to bring up the hate. Okay, I'm riding with number 3, man. I'm riding with number 3. I am all Jalen Hurts up. I don't care what anybody says. I just said riding with number 3. I'm riding with Nolan Smith, right? We're going to talk about it. That's how excited I am, okay, with Jalen Hurts. Because here, or I should say, how excited I am with Nolan Smith. Because, again, Nolan Smith is, oh, my God. We're going to bring him up too, man, because, again, you know, there's another guy in that draft class that we're going to bring up. But, yeah, listen, I am riding with Jalen Hurts, okay? I'm riding with the number ones. I'm riding with the bloodline, okay? Let's just call him that. He is the Roman Reigns of this team. And my man Adam says, no disrespect to Jason Kelce, but I think this is the best offensive line this year. I don't disagree, man. It's no disrespect, Adam, at all. It's no disrespect to Kelce. Collectively, as a unit, this is the best offensive line we've ever seen in Philadelphia. Best offense. Like, we had the bookends for years, right? We had the bookends with Trey and Runyon. Okay, we had Jason Peters. Okay, Hall of Fame left tackle. We always had the tackles. Okay, but the guards, listen, man, like, they weren't always the best. You know, we went through guys like Wisniewski, right? We went guys like Jamal Jackson. Actually, Jamal Jackson was center, right? Jermaine Mayberry, right? We went through a lot of different guards over the years when we had those bookend tackles. But this line is so complete with Cam Jurgens and Dickerson and Mailata and Mekhi Becton. Okay, and not just, you know, Mekhi Becton is a tackle playing a guard's role. Okay, that, you know, that's another reason why, and they pointed that out on the show or on the game, which you got to give props up to the announcers for that, because they did bring it up to where one of the reasons why Mekhi Becton is playing so well is because he's so athletically gifted that he's a tackle playing guard, and he's just completely mauling dudes, because guards are not supposed to be that big, man. They're not supposed to be that big, and they're damn sure ain't supposed to be that athletic. So Mekhi Becton, who didn't have the best game, okay, but that happens, okay, but still has been an absolute stud. So, you know, this offensive line to me is the best, but I just want people to start giving Jalen Hurts some respect. Okay, for the run game. Because that run game did nothing with Kenny Pickett. That run game did nothing with my man. Everybody wants to put McKee up there, right? No, that run game did nothing because there was no respect for the quarterback to be able to run. Okay, McKee was not running. Okay, he just wasn't, right? There was no respect there for him to take off and run. Kenny Pickett, same thing. Okay, so number one, you had the respect on Jalen Hurts ready to take off. But number two, you got to start giving this man some damn respect for calling the stuff at the line. Okay, it's got to happen. So let's talk about a couple other plays that, you know, through this game. Okay, here was another one that I want to bring up. A huge game from C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Okay, you know, who has been hit or miss this year. He's had his good games. He's had his bad games. Very inconsistent. He's dealt with some injuries as well, and all that considered. When you lose a guy like the Kobe Dean, who is a shoot the gap kind of guy, who's a guy who's reading the opposition, right? Who is wearing the green dot, who's controlling the entire defense. When you lose that guy, people have to step up, right? Zach Bond can't just step up on his own, okay? Oren Burks, who had a fantastic game, just can't step up on his own. You need other elements. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had a great game. And it was very indicative of the player that we knew we had before we let go and before we didn't sign, okay, in the Super Bowl. He's a guy that he's full of energy. He's a guy that takes risks, calculated risks. But this play right here, to me, it summed up, okay, what we need and what we got from C.J. Gardner-Johnson, especially in this game where we needed somebody to step up. Here we go.
Davis Allen in motion. Williams. He's brought down by C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Look at it again.
Davis Allen in motion. Williams. He's brought down by C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
And shot that gap. Okay? When he came up and shot that gap, I was like, yo, CJ, listen, CJ is him today. CJ is him today. And we needed that kind of play. And again, that's the kind of energy that you get when you get guys that are bought in, when you get guys that are there and guys that are going to, number one, play that team mentality, which is that culture, okay? Which is that culture. Let's get to the elephant in the room, shall we? And that's Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, I'm not going to say I was wrong on Jalen Carter. I was skeptical on Jalen Carter. Never once did I think that Jalen Carter did not have the fundamental skills to be a dominant defensive tackle in the NFL. Never once. Never once. I multiple times compared him to Ndamukong Suh. Again, before everybody else started making it something that I did 4 months ago. It's okay. Everybody can keep riding my coattails on some of the stuff that I say, even though nobody's following my ass anyway, but whatever. It's just a fact that I'm saying it and it just comes out later, but whatever. Jalen Carter has the most underrated intelligence, I will say, of anybody in football. He's a perfect example of don't judge a book by its cover. Here's what I mean by that. We know the reason why he dropped in the draft, and we're going to get to that draft in a minute, right? We know why he dropped in that draft. One of the reasons was big time attitude, right? Big time attitude. And, we've seen this on many stages where, you draft a young player and you hope that when he comes in that you have guys like a Brandon Graham and a Fletcher Cox and a Jason Kelsey and a Darius Slay, guys that can nurture this kid and say, yo, man, listen, you have all the abilities to be one of the best. If that's what you want to do, right? That's what you want to do. You need to do this. You need to do that. Guide this kid. Make him understand how good he really is, even though I think Jalen Carter knows how good he is. But understand what could happen, right? If he doesn't keep this straight, right? And that was my biggest thing about Jalen Carter. Never once doubted his physical ability. Never once. Adam says Jalen is a bulldozer. Nobody could stop him. Listen, I've never seen a guy, and now all of a sudden they want to start. It's too early, but I know a lot of people want to start saying Aaron Donald, and they want. I don't even think it's. Listen, I don't think people remember how dominant Ndamukong Suh was. Like, I don't think people, and again, you want to know why? Because he played in Detroit. Like, the whole problem about superstars that play in rundown cities, okay, that aren't on the map, that that have no notoriety, they don't get the accolades because nobody really sees. I've talked about this in the NBA with guys like Chris Paul for many years. Nobody really watched Chris Paul play because he played in Charlotte. Nobody gave a shit about Charlotte. Who cared about the Charlotte Hornets, right? Like, nobody even talks about how great Mitch Richmond was. Why? Because nobody cared about Sacramento, right? And Ndamukong Suh, in my opinion, now I understand that we had guys in this town that people will talk about, like Jerome Brown, but Jerome Brown didn't play long enough for me, okay? And we know why, obviously, right? But for me, Ndamukong Suh is the most dominant defensive tackle I've ever seen play football. He's the most dominant defensive tackle I ever saw play. That's me. Ever saw. Not Aaron Donald. To me, it's Ndamukong Suh. Game changer. Absolute game changer. The only problem with Ndamukong Suh was he was an absolute mental I want to be nice. Mentally, he was out of his mind, right? You just could not control the guy. Couldn't control the guy. To me, Jalen Carter can be better than Ndamukong Suh. And for me, that goes down as the best defensive tackle I ever seen play the game. And that's just after watching him play this year. Watching him fight for the double teams, watching him pick apart the opposing offensive line, watching him read the eyes of the quarterback. He knows how good he is, right? You know how some people say when you don't know how good you are, it's kind of scary? Nah, not for this kid. This kid knows how good he is, and that's the scary part because he knows that he can run through anybody. He knows that they have to double team his ass to stop him. He knows that he's an absolute game changer. Jalen Carter, we're witnessing, like, no disrespect to Fletcher Cox, man, but Ndamukong Suh is just a different player. Like, he's just Fletcher Cox didn't take over games like this, man. Jalen Carter takes over games. Right? Takes over games. And Ndamukong Suh took over games. You have to think about, see, here's the thing. Nobody really remembers if you go back and you watch the Detroit Lions and how terrible they were in the Ndamukong Suh age, right? They had Megatron, but, I mean, come on, man. Think of some of the quarterbacks they had. It was a shame. It was a joke. Man, like, it's so funny. Like, when you talk to the younger generation, and you bring up Barry Sanders, what's funny is not a lot of them, they go, oh, yeah, Barry. They act like it's like, oh, yeah, Barry, he was good. Good. No, you know why? Because nobody watched the Detroit Lions. Nobody watched Wayne Fontenot coach that team. Nobody wanted to watch Rodney P. and Scott Mitchell. Nobody wanted that. Nobody remembers. Nobody remembers. It's a shame because he played in Detroit, right? Because he played in Detroit. You think about so many good players that played in bad cities and don't get remembered. So I think a lot of people just seem to forget that Ndamukong Suh was that dominant, right? Adam says he remembers. Adam remembers. I mean, he would take on two guys at a time at no problem. But let's get back to the culture for a minute because I do want to show the play that I know everybody, like, not the sad. We already know that. This is a different one, and I know this was talked about as well, but this talks about the culture, okay? The culture of the team. One of the biggest points of emphasis, obviously, in this offseason was, number one, coaching, number two, veteran leadership. And Howie Roseman did a hell of a job with assembling this roster and not only just bringing in veteran leaders, but bringing in veterans that understood their role and weren't like a Devin White and didn't want to accept it, right? They understood the role that was in front of them and that they were ready if called upon. But not just that, but to mentor and and have the culture. Listen, nobody, and we all know this, right? We heard Vic Fangio talk about it. We heard a lot of people talk about it. Nobody expected Brandon Graham before he got hurt to come out and just beast out this year. Nobody did. They signed him as a swan song. They signed him to mentor guys like Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter, right? That's they did. And he wound up balling out, right? I mean, look, great for him. But, when they restructured and everybody's like, oh, they're going to trade Darius Slay. No, because they wanted him to mentor guys like Quentin Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, okay? They did a hell of a job with bringing that kind of culture, or I should say keeping that kind of culture. And then you bring the coaching staff. When we talk about guys like Clint Hurt, okay, is very, very, very undervalued. My man Tommy checking in says the older guys also helped shape Jalen Carter from his character issues to being his. Yes, exact Tommy, 100%, man, 100%, 1,000%. Okay, because that's the biggest reason why. That's the biggest reason why he dropped. That's the biggest reason why his draft capital dropped. They said this dude is a lunatic, and you see it. Like, he wants to rip somebody's head off, and he's smiling about it. Like, he's having a good old time out there, and he knows he's good, and he don't care. He don't care. And that's the crazy part about it. So you're right, Tommy, 100%. Like, look, this play, let's go to it. This play indicative of what we're talking about with Jalen Carter, what he could do, okay, or what he could have done right here.
Most of any rookie. 3rd and 3. Stafford trying to step up, stepped into the arms of Jalen Carter, who's ready this year.
You see that?
Any rookie.
Watch Nolan Smith get in there.
Stafford trying to step up, stepped into the arms of Jalen Carter.
You see it right there, right? You see it. You see Nolan Smith right there say, yo, no. Don't do it, right? Again, now there's young guy with young guy, right? But another bulldog, right? Another bulldog. But, that's what this team is built on. And that's why I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited. But let's just remember, man, Jalen Carter, if he doesn't make that play on Matthew Stafford, I think we all know that you heard Sean McVay, who can we give, I don't care if it's okay or not, but I'm going to give props to Sean McVay. I'm a Sean McVay guy to be able to come into Philadelphia in a snow game with a team that is young on the defensive side. Okay, with offensive pieces that aren't used to playing in this kind of weather. Guys are still hobbled by injury like Cooper Kupp, even Tyler Higbee, okay, and Puka Nacua. Losing one of their standouts on our defensive line and still having a chance. And when they asked them about saying, what did I think was going to happen? We were going to win 28-27. It was set up for that, man. I don't know who it was that slipped in the snow, but they slipped in the snow, and Matthew Stafford, if he has another half a second, the game's over. Game's over. I don't know if it was Cooper Kupp or it was Tyler Higbee, but somebody's running across that seam, and they're right there, man. That game's over. And we're sitting here today, and we're saying, holy shit, we just lost another divisional game. So that's how big of an impact Jalen Carter had on that game. And it wasn't just that play. It was the entire game. It was the entire game. Entire game. Let's talk about this for a minute. Before we get to the rest of the stuff that I want to talk about, I want to bring in some comments from Richard Sherman about us, about Washington. Chris Sims, who I actually kind of agreed with today, which is shocking. I know people want to call him a clown, but he is a clown. But I actually agreed with what he said. And I want to bring on what Nick Saban said today on the Pat McAfee show about Jalen Hurts. Okay, you know what? Let's go into that before we talk about the draft, because we'll relive the draft at the end. I want to bring up the 2023 draft, but we'll relive it at the end. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts for a minute, because I think this was pretty telling. Okay, I think that we all understand that right now. Now, obviously, he's hurt a little bit, get banged up, but we all understand that Jalen has some limitations. I don't think anybody, thinks that he doesn't. Okay. So can we just go back for a minute? And again, if you're following on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, Tony Cutillo Show. Make sure you like the show. Bring on the comments. If you would like to get live on the air, let me know. I have the link. The link is up in the comments. Very, very simple. Okay, all you need to do is click on the comments. You want to join the show, all you need to do is click on this link on your phone, okay? And you don't need to be on video. It could be audio only. You'll talk into it just like you're calling into the radio station. Very, very simple. So I want to go back real fast and talk about Jalen Hurts and talk about how this team knows their players more than we do. And what do you think happened this year to change the mindset of Howie Roseman to say, we're going to pay a running back? Do you think it was because Saquon they knew was that talented, or because they already knew that Jalen Hurts had some limitations? That they already knew that, you know what? I don't think Jalen is going to be able to give us that 250 and 2 touchdowns every game. So we're going to have to go with our strength, which is our offensive line, and we're going to go sign the best running back we can to kind of not hide the deficiencies, okay, but not allow him to expose himself and just be a guy, right? Now, obviously, he's more than a guy, right? We know that. But I'm just saying, in context, their line of thinking, that's what I think happened. I think they already knew. I think that they knew that Jalen Hurts had some limitations. I think that they knew that, guess what? At the end of the day, we know what our strength is, and that is the offensive line and our running game. And we have 2 receivers that can beat 95% of anybody in the NFL. Now, if we want to utilize them in any different way, that's up to us. But I think, in my opinion, that's exactly what they did. Now, if you're watching on a YouTube chat, if you're watching on the Heat Ratio Sports YouTube channel, if you're watching on the Rise and React Media YouTube channel, I greatly appreciate it. Swing on over if you can. What I'm trying to do is bring everybody into the Tony Cutillo Show. So go find the Tony Cutillo Show on YouTube. Very, very simple. Go subscribe to the channel, like this show, and join as well. I'd greatly appreciate it. So I think that that's what happened. Okay, and I think we're seeing that right now. Right? I think that's what we're seeing. If Jalen is pressed, I think he can do it. But can he do it consistently? I don't. And I think we all know that he has to get the ball out quicker. I don't think that is not indicative of what this season has been. That he needs to be able to be quicker on his decisions. He needs to be quicker on his reads. And a lot of that is protecting the ball. I think he got a little jumpy when over the first 4 when he was fumbling and he threw a couple picks. It's unlike Jalen Hurts, right? Because when you're asked to say, listen, just don't lose us the game. Okay, we don't expect you to go out there and win us the game, but we want you not to lose us the game. And I think that's in his head. And I think that's made him a little more vanilla than usual because he's afraid, right? That's just my opinion. I could be dead wrong, but that's what I say. But I think it's very telling because listen to his former coach here. This is Nick Saban talking on Jalen Hurts, okay, on the Pat McAfee show. This is a 1:30 clip. And listen to him, man. It's pretty telling what he says, and it's pretty telling on what we're talking about and how we kind of listen. We kind of have the same ideologies. Listen to this.
It's killed on the internet for his passing, but, he had a 44-yard touchdown yesterday running the ball. People kind of ignore that when it comes to him being a quarterback. What do you think about his performance so far, and how do you kind of think he gets better almost as they head to the NFC Championship next week?
Yeah, well, I think he's doing the things they need to do to win. I mean, they're a running football team. That's what the Philadelphia Eagles are. They got Saquon Barkley. They run it. Jalen can run it, which he had a big play last night as a runner. So you got to make people defend that, and then you got to throw the ball effectively enough in play action game. And I think Jalen is a good enough passer to do all those things. I think the one thing, and this is any athletic quarterback and every one of them, and when Jalen was with us, we would have team and 7-on-7. And I would say, you cannot run. You cannot scramble. You have to throw the ball on time. And because these guys are so athletic, they see the rush coming and they think they can scramble and get out of it. And a couple of those sacks that he took last night, he took them because in normal circumstances, no snow, no bad knee, all that, he probably would have been able to escape and get away and make a play. And he's done that so much in his career, it's hard to tell a guy, hey, don't do that. But I was trying to train him to become a better on-time passer, by not allowing him to do it in practice. And I think he improved in that regard. But he's still a great athlete, and those guys are going to make plays, and you can't take that away from him.
Let's talk about. That's interesting, isn't it? Say, when you hear one of the GOATs speak, and he says the same thing, right? The same thing that we hear. He obviously says he needs to get better, right? He needs to get better with his timing. He needs to be better with his, but again, we know that, right? Tommy checking in says, Jalen is a winner at every level. I trust him. Do I wish he was still had the 2022 version of something? Yeah, but I don't know if that is in him. Tommy, 100% agree. I think we all wish that, right? But I don't know if that was an aberration. I don't know if that was, I don't know what that was, right? Because, he was so goddamn good that year. I don't know how that's not in there, or it just was kind of lightning in a bottle that year. I'm not sure. But the thing is, and I say this all the time, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? And I know people are going to run with this and not going to agree with this, which I don't care, right? That's why I got the nickname Jigsaw, because I don't care. You watch the guy on the other side of the field yesterday in Matthew Stafford, who has been hearing the knocks on him his entire career. You have, right? He's been hearing. Now, again, I am not saying, okay, that, you could compare him with Jalen Hurts. Okay, but what I'm saying is the same kind of adversity he has faced, the same kind of limitations we've heard from Matthew Stafford over the years. Can't win the big games, isn't always on time with the ball. Like, so many different things, because, again, he had Megatron, right? Like, he had some of them big-time receivers. But what I'm saying is, obviously, if you're telling me, who would I rather have? I'm probably going to go Matt Stafford because of the experience, right? I don't think that is, a bad take at all. It's just, it's being honest, right? But Matthew Stafford, the whole thing with him was like, just go out there and win us a game if you can, but just don't lose us a game, right? There's only specific players in the NFL that go out there and win you a game. Okay, there's only specific players that can go out there. Obviously, Joe Burrow being one of them, Lamar being one of them, as long as Mark Andrews wants to catch a ball, right? Josh Allen being another one, right? We already know that. Mahomes, possibly. This ain't gonna be great. This ain't been a great year for Patrick Mahomes, right? But Jalen Hurts, you hear from his guy, it's something they've always tried to work on. Maybe in 2022, the timing based on the offense that was given, okay, maybe it just suited him better. I don't know. I have no idea what it was, but I think we just know that this is who we have. There's time. Listen, if A.J. Brown catches that ball that was there for the taking, okay, and there's a 55-yard touchdown, okay, and we're talking about, instead of 128, we're talking about close to 200, a touchdown through the air, a touchdown on the ground. Nobody's even talking about Jalen Hurts, okay? But, again, we're all worried about, can he do it? And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to go back to the very beginning. As we got 10 minutes left on the show because I want to keep these to an hour. There'll be an hour and a half if I have guests, okay? Because I think an hour is perfect. Hour and a half is great if you have a guest. So I want to go back in the beginning when I talked about Jalen, about let's give him some respect. Let's give him some respect for the checks at the line. Let's give him some respect for the kills at the line. Okay, let's give him some respect for the audibles in the run game, the motion in the passing game, or the run game for that matter. That's intelligence. That's football IQ. So as long as Jalen Hurts has football IQ and football intelligence, I'm taking him and I'm trusting him. So that's where I am with Jalen Hurts, 100%. That's where I'm at Jalen Hurts. Now, I want to bring up the 2023 draft for a minute before we finish out with a couple other clips. And I think this is remarkable. I really do, man. Again, if you're following along, you're like and subscribe to the channel, like the show. If you're on another YouTube page, come on, swing over to Tony Cutillo Show YouTube page. I think you'll like some of the content over there. Got a lot of shorts up. Talk wrestling, talk NBA. We talk not really NHL, but not just Philly though. National, everything, man. Everything, 100%. Tommy says we also do have exactly every year, and he's probably going to have another one, Tommy. He's probably going to have another one because Kellen Moore's going to be a head coach somewhere, right? So it's another year. It's a great point. Another year he has to go for another coordinator, man. I mean, this dude has, whether it was on his own in college, who cares? But still, another offense he has to learn. And again, nobody says, like Tommy says, we don't give him enough credit. That's IQ again, man. How many quarterbacks do you feel comfortable with? Do you keep flipping the script on them? How many quarterbacks do you can do that with? Not many. And that's the thing. So, that's what I love about Jalen Hurts. And that's why I'm going to continue to be a Jalen guy. Now, I want you guys to look at this, and I think this is pretty remarkable. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this is great, man. I want to go over this 2023 draft for a minute because, I hear a lot of people say, oh, my God, how did they get Jalen Carter, right? When we talk about that, obviously they traded up to get Jalen Carter, but the funny thing to me, and that's from Carolina, right? But the funny thing to me is, look at this entire draft in the first round. There's two teams, in my opinion, that had tremendous impact with their picks. Obviously, it's the Houston Texans, right? When you have C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. 2 and 3 respectively. Come on, right? Right there. But then you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, and you get Jalen Carter at 9, and then you're going to go down and get Nolan Smith at 31. I have to say, man, if I look, and, can somebody tell me if they know some of these guys? You think about it, man. Like, Jalen Carter. Now, again, quarterbacks are always going to be premium, okay? They're always going to be premium. My man Steven checking in. Hey, Ravens. What, Steve, are you going, what happened to the Ravens, man? It's crazy. Well, what other team do you think Megatron could have been for a chance to win a championship? Oh, Steve's saying Ray. Yeah, that's right. All right, Steve. I didn't see that question. Mitchell. Oh, yeah. Jesus, God, that's right. Whoo. And Deshaun Jackson. That's right. Oh my God, that would have been great. Megatron, man, it's a shame for Megatron. I hate seeing that, man. Vegas wishes they had Carter. Tommy, you're right. When you look, it's so crazy, man. Okay, Bryce Young was definitely going to go, right? The quarterbacks are going to go. So you go Young, Stroud, A. Rich, who I am not sold on Anthony Richardson. What about that story, by the way? We'll talk about that on another segment, but you even got the third string quarterback coming out basically telling Anthony Richardson, yo, dude, you got to get better. You had veterans say, I re-signed here. Sam Ellinger, that backup quarterback or the third string, telling him you got to be better, right? You got guys re-signing their veterans say, yo, I re-signed here because I believed in you and you let us down. Listen, man, there's some stuff going on out there in Indy, bro. There is some stuff going on out there in Indy, man. That's crazy. That is crazy. He broke his back. It's broke in Tyson voice. Listen, man. Look at this, and again, offensive Devin Witherspoon. No disrespect to him, but come on, man. Like, could Seattle use Jalen Carter? Could Vegas, like Tom? Look at that. Tyree Wilson. Are you serious? Right? And I get you see with the Bijan thing right now, but can you imagine, like, if Atlanta takes Jalen Carter and you have Grady Jarrett and Jalen Carter, and then you got Jesse Bates out there? I mean, like, you just look at that and it's like, wow. I mean, that just shows you how things can happen. And remember, the Eagles moved to get him, right? Because he was sitting there. Now, if you go through, out this round and you look at the guys drafted above Nolan Smith, right? Look at the guys drafted above Nolan Smith. Now, remember, Nolan Smith knock was he was too small, right? But again, the due diligence of the Philadelphia Eagles, not just to take the wherewithal of saying, you know what, I'm not going to go by that because I think we have a culture on this team that obviously we got some of his Georgia teammates on here, but also that we know this kid's driven. You heard him. You heard this kid. I mean, what do you think his interview was like with the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Think about it. We all remember he just want to hit a mother, you know what, right? That's what he said, okay? But he went out in the offseason and knew he was too small and put on 15 to 20 pounds of muscle, man, and worked on his agility and his moves. And look at him now. I mean, look, I think we all know, too, that Vic Fangio is an absolute god, right? Vic Fangio is an absolute god for what he's been able to do. My lot is the highest rated tackle in the NFL. My man Steven says, and yes, and a 7th rounder, man. I mean, crazy. Yup, all Georgia guys are contributing 100%, man. It's crazy when you think about it, isn't it? It's absolutely crazy what they've been able to do. Says is the draft. Yep, the draft's a huge reason why we're awesome, and that's the thing, man. Again, it's crazy that when you think about all these picks that were starting to hit, man, and they really are. Mike says you never know who will work on things and won't. Personality can be hard to judge. You're right, but I know, in my opinion, Mike, honestly, from being a coach and doing interviews with kids, and I would say like 15, 16-year-old boys, and looking them in the face and looking them in the eye and saying, you know what, does this dude got it? Does this dude want it? Is he going to be a problem? Was I always right? No, I would say 90% of the time you can judge. I think 90% of the time that you can judge, but and that's the thing, man. Like, they judged right here. They judged right. It's I'll tell you what, man. Just to see these Georgia kids. Now, the one guy they judged wrong. Let's bring it up, and I'm gonna stick to my guns here. And I yes, Steven, my man. Steve, I if this is the first time that you're checking in, man, I hope you like and subscribe to the channel. Glad to have you here. Earlier, before you checked in, probably about the 8:15 mark, I 100% echoed your same sentiments. It said that 100% that Ndamukong Suh, in my opinion, was the best dominant tackle ever in the NFL. Okay? Ever in the NFL. And I think Jalen Carter can be better already. That's what's crazy. So when you think about that. But let's get to the other elephant in the room. And I think we're getting a lot of people coming in with comments, which I love. So we're gonna go a little longer. I was gonna cut this off at an hour. Let's go hour 15. See if the comments keep coming. Again, if you're live right now on another platform, get over to the Tony Cutillo Show right here. My PO says you were live for 5 minutes. Yeah. I started this at like 8:40, man. 8:45, 8:50, something like that. It's crazy, man. I mean 7:55. I'm sorry, 7:55. But let's talk about Jordan Davis for a minute, man. Let's talk about Jordan Davis for a minute, because I don't want to be right, but I think I'm right. I said this in the offseason again, and I'm going to pat myself on the back, man. Like, I'm tired of people getting credit. I am. I know my Jigsaw Society always gives me credit. No disrespect to you guys. I know you always do, but I'm so tired of people that are just stumbling over words and things of that nature. Let me just say something. I said this in July, that the Philadelphia Eagles were going to have to say Jordan Davis, not necessarily a bust, but not who we thought he was going to be. And that the guy we need to pay is Milton Williams. Milton Williams is a guy who I thought and knew it was just, a very underrated athletic person that is now reaping the benefits of playing alongside of a guy like Jalen Carter. And the funny thing is, if people say, well, yeah, but so is Jordan. Yeah, but Jordan Davis can't do anything next to Jalen Carter. Milton Williams is having a hell of a time, meaning a good time. Like, we all worried about the loss of Javon Hargrave a few years ago. Well, Milton Williams has stepped right in. So they're going to have to figure this out. Are they going to, they're not going to be able to pay Jordan Davis. Okay. There's no reason to. Okay. But now it's like, are you going to pay? Are you going to pay for a guy like a Milton Williams? Or are you just going to say, you know what? We feel like we can homegrown another defensive tackle because Jalen Carter is that good, and he's going to make whoever plays next to him better. Now, that brings you to this point, but my man Tommy says, should we be worried about Zach Paul? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. 100%. Because this is where I feel bad for players. Okay? I'll be honest with you, it's where I feel bad for players. So, we all love Zach Bond. We love the story for Zach Bond. Right? We understand that he was a special teamer in New Orleans. He was a grindy player. We know the story about him coming over, Howie signing him, and Vic saying right off the bat, man, you know what? I like this guy as my strong side linebacker. And he's not only answered the bell, but he's really driven his value so way through the roof. It's undeniable. It really is. And he's a great dude. He's a good guy. And the sad part is his value is probably definitely going to exceed what the Philadelphia Eagles are willing to pay. And here's the thing. I think we need to set a hashtag that says "Don't be mad at Zach," because I don't want people to hate Zach Bond, man. Like you need to let Zach get his bag. I hope it's here, but here's a guy who's been in the league, who's grinded on special teams, who's played in New Orleans. He's played second fiddle. He hasn't really got the notoriety. We want to be selfish as Eagles fans and say we want to keep him here. But at the same token, man, he's a great dude, great teammate, does a lot of stuff for the community. He needs to deserve to get his bag, man. I hate to say it, but it's true. Now, the Nakobe Dean injury, right, could change that a little bit, depending on how serious it is. Unfortunately. Right? And that's what sucks. So the business side is going to come in. Because Nakobe Dean was another guy who was up to get his bag. But now with the injury, does that happen? There's so many things that we're going to have an entire offseason to talk about. But right now, who cares? Right now, I'm worried about the Washington Commanders. And I want to get to some of these comments because I want to get you something. Steven says, I don't think he should start. But here's what I will say. I was always in on Sidney Brown. I think he's a undisciplined hitter, that he has to learn what, some things are perceived and what some things aren't, because he is a little bit of a loose cannon. But I think that if you can hold him in just like a Jalen Carter, I think Sidney Brown is going to be a player. Steven says Eagles got signed seen from Georgia. He's athletic. We got nothing for him. He was and Mike V. My man Mike said, he hit me up right away, man, when we got him. Was like, yo, did you see him? So these are these pickups, man. Here's the depth again with Keely Ringo. Unbelievable athlete with size and speed. Keely Ringo is going to step right into a starting role for Darius Slay. You know that, right? He's going to step into that role. I'm telling you right now, the Duke can play. The Duke can play. They've drafted some great depth on this team, man. Fangio is no nonsense. Why did it? You know what? You know why? You know why, Steve? You know why they talk shit on him? Because there were a bunch of prima donnas out there. Okay, there were a bunch of prima donnas out there. Again, think about it. They didn't want to be taught the right way. They got guys like Tyreek Hill, I know he's on the offense, but that's the kind of culture they have out there. I didn't like some of those players out there. And again, Vic, the one guy that didn't talk shit on him is the one guy that his career was revived until he got hurt by Vic Fangio. That was Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb was an absolute stud under Vic Fangio, right? He didn't talk shit on him. He just got hurt, right? So it's crazy. Yeah, exactly, because Dolphins want to chill Miami and not work. Al says, you think they would have signed Zach Bond by now if they – Nah, you know what? I don't think that's true. And Adam, I'll tell you why. There's a couple players on this team that were up for extensions, and I wouldn't read too much into it because I think the problem is, or it's a good problem to have, I think Howie and staff said, look, we're not tipping the scales. We're not rocking the boat. We're not doing anything right now that could dampen spirits on this team, that could hurt the chemistry of this team, right? I just think that, that's the mindset. I think they probably already know who they're going to pay, what they're going to offer. But let's get to the dance first. Let's see what we do first before we get to that. And I think that's kind of been on the back burner. Okay, I do. I think that's kind of been on the back burner. Yes. Again, Bryce Huff, 0 snaps. There we go again, Mike. And who got the hunt? Who got the sack? Jalix Hunt. I'm telling you, man, Bryce Huff is going to go down as a mistake. It happens, right? It happens. Carson Wentz, right? But here's what's great, and here's what's crazy. When you think about how oh my God, how deep, not just how deep this team is, but the forward thinking of this front office, the forward thinking to draft a kid like Jalix Hunt, who's raw, but freakish athlete, right? Raw, freakish athlete. When you think about it, they covered themselves. Now, it's the same thing that happened with Wentz. They ate the cap hit and it didn't even bother them because the business side, they have so many things lined up. So I'm not worried. Listen, they're not afraid to take risks. They took a risk on Bryce Huff. I don't think it's working. I think we know that, right? Nolan Smith is a young Hassan Reddick. I like that. It's a good comparison. He's got that size. He's got. I will tell you that when I watch Jalix Hunt, he looks like Trent Cole. When I don't know if you guys have seen it. I don't know if it's because he wears 58. He wears that lower number, but he reminds me of Trent Cole. Trent Cole was a dog, man. And Trent Cole took a couple years before he really, he zoned in on his athletic ability. And, I think that, you look at Jalix Hunt and you say, yo, man, this is Trent Cole reincarnated, in my opinion, dude. Honestly, I'm not a huge, we got to compare every player. But just to go back and look at what Trent Cole was off the edge and how oh my God, the dude was so good, man. We don't say his name enough in Philadelphia with Trent Cole and how good he was, man. We don't say his name enough. Riddick is chiseled, yes. Nolan holds the edge better, 100%. Nolan is. Here's the thing, man. Dude started as a safety, and we take him. He's looking great. Exactly. you're talking about, Jalen Hunt had sacks. Ojamo had sacks. I mean, look, the thing about this, which I love about this comment, my man Mikey V, about no one holding the edge better, it's because he's smart. He's a very intelligent football player, man. Like, that's the thing. He understands. It's there's the mental side. The mental side is huge. We're going to get to that, Steve, 100%. You aren't comparing, but people always look for exactly a similarity with players we know, thinking that, because they are great. Like, we hope that we could get that same kind of presence, right? But Steve, 100% with Slay. Like, again, I was talking about the elephant in the room. We talk about Jalen Carter, Saquon Barkley. We talk about them all day, but I brought up CJ Gardner-Johnson. Orion Burks had a really good game, had a couple shoot the gas, but Darius Slay, nobody talked enough about Darius Slay yesterday. I'm sorry, man. Nobody talked enough. Yes, Slay was incredible. Slay showed up huge on multiple times. He was exactly who we needed. And it's funny because that's when you see I wouldn't say culture, but the identity of this team really come out. Remember at the beginning of the year, it was always like, oh, we don't know what our identity is yet. Everybody got pissed off. What's our identity? And then, people get mad at Slay because he go on like a Parsons podcast, and they get mad at Slay because, he'd be laughing after a game. And I agree. I was one of those dudes. Like, I think that Darius Slay, halfway through said, yo, man, this is a shot. Like, we got this shot. And I think that they all, his attitude changed, man. I'm telling you right now, his attitude changed, for the better. And he really took this team to another height, okay, another level. Yes, that's a good point. He was tackling too. Like, when do you see Darius Slay tackle? He's driven, man. He wants a ring, bro. Like, it's simple. He wants a ring. And I'll tell you what, though. Let me talk about this real fast too. Here's the ass backwards end of rookies to veterans too. As much as we say, the veterans help the young guys, how about the young guys helping the veterans? Right? How about the young guys? How about Kason Mitchell? How about Cooper DeJean coming in and Darius Slay going, yo, these dudes can ball. I need to be up on my game. Like, look at their energy out there. Look at these young boys going out there. And sometimes, again, it's contagious. Sometimes when you're a veteran, sometimes you take a couple plays off. Listen, I get it. Like, I'm not, they all do that, man. See, I say CD Deuce is a dog. I talk about CJ Gardner-Johnson. Listen, I talked about him too, man. I talked about him too. Hit the gap. So I think a lot of this right now, is just everything going in the proper direction. I don't want to get too excited. It says laying wood on cats, a whiteboard. Listen, I better show up. Yes. But speaking of white boys, man, I tweeted this out during the game. Can we give some love to Reed Blankenship? Like we need to start giving some love to the unsung heroes of the defense. Guys that don't get the notoriety, right? Reed Blankenship has really, really created a force in the secondary as a safety. Whether it's coming up and stopping a run, whether it's doing over-the-top coverage, whether it's taking away that seam for the tight end. Reed Blankenship had a hell of a game, man. He continues to have a hell of a game. Like, and it's no secret that all these guys are really, like, they bought in to the Vic Fangio way. And that's not easy. They bought into it, all of them. And here's another thing. Who's more Who's more likely to buy in, a veteran or a rook? Right? Who's more likely to buy in, a veteran? It's a rook. There's a reason why all these young guys in the beginning with the veteran defensive coordinator, they bought in, and then it brought the veterans. So this team, and that is the chess match of building a roster. And my man Javon checking in. Yo, Javon, what's up, brother? He says, shout out to Howie for finding Reed. Exactly. An undrafted free agent. Another undrafted free agent for Howie Roseman. Either 7th round or undrafted. Reed Blankenship. How about Grant Calcaterra? Another one. A really good tight end, right? So let's move on for a couple minutes before we get out of here. Let's talk about this game coming up. I want to play. I want to get everybody's take on. And on Thursday, we're going to get more into the Washington game and the breakdown. And I'll get a couple guests on. Try to get somebody over from Washington. I'm going to try to get a couple. Some really good people out there watch the media. I'm trying to get on and talk about it and see what they're seeing. But I want to play this clip from Richard Sherman. Okay, I do, and I want to hear what everybody thinks. This was him on his podcast talking about Jaden Daniels and Washington Commanders beating the Philadelphia Eagles. That he thinks that they are going to win. But I like Richard Sherman. Before you say anything about it, I like Richard Sherman a lot. I do. I like Richard Sherman. I think he's a really good voice. I think he's straight up. He's not about the clicks. He doesn't fabricate shit. The dude played. The dude won. He's a winner. He's a veteran. I'm a big Richard Sherman fan. So let me play exactly what Richard Sherman said, and I want to hear what you think. Okay? I want to hear what you think about what he's saying about this game coming up. Let's see. Here's Richard Sherman on his podcast today.
I got to sit down and hang out with Bobby Wagner and got to go over there and have a good conversation with Dan Quinn and Kenny Norton. The vibes in that building, it did not seem like the moment was too big. And I'm talking to champions. I'm talking to people I've went to battle with. I've went into championship games with. They felt like they had a really good chance. Jaden Daniels showed incredible poise. And again, the wild card weekend, every quarterback that lost, their fan base had excuses. So many excuses. Injuries or, he doesn't have the receivers everybody else has. The Washington Commanders won 4 games. Like, actually, in real life, all you heard about in the offseason was, man, they didn't do enough. They went with Dan Quinn. They didn't get one of the offensive geniuses. How could you get Cliff Kingsbury, Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner? Why are you getting these washed-up guys? Get some young guys. Now everybody's looking like, oh, my God. So you got champions in the building, veterans who've been there and done that. And they can have conversations with a young quarterback and help him understand how he's supposed to be leading so that he could continue to elevate his team. And that's what he's done. Tell me he's got a better roster than the Green Bay Packers. Tell me that's what you thought coming into this season, that he has a better roster than the LA Chargers. But they're playing better. They're playing inspired football. It's a different mindset when you have a guy that can go get it. Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of who he's going against, he's going to find a way. These guys look like they believed because he believed. I got them winning in Philly. I think they got a chance.
He said he's got them winning in Philly. He thinks they have a chance. I'm gonna say this, man. I agree with them that they have a chance. I don't agree with them that they're gonna win. Okay, but I do agree with them that they got a chance. My man Trevor, Trevor. I ain't seen you forever, Trevor, man. Checking in. Dude says, stop Saquon, make Hurts beat you. It's not rocket science. Commanders are for real. Yep. That's Mike. That's what I took out of that. Playing inspired football. I took that quote out of that. I agree. Playing inspired football. And if you think about exactly what we just talked about with the Philadelphia Eagles, and we talk about our team, and we talk about how they went all in with the rookies and brought the veterans in the back end with the culture and the energy, how it was infectious. Think about the Commanders. Do you think that those guys, Bobby Wagner, Austin Eckler, Terry McLaurin, Zach Ertz, did you think right off the bat that they thought Jaden Daniels was him? Listen, they can think he could be the athletic him, but that doesn't mean it's going to translate to the game, right? How quick is he going to get it? So I think the same thing, just like what Richard Sherman said. He has everybody believing that they got a shot. And I will say this, and for those, I know a lot of people dog Dan Quinn because of a lot of his limitations, but Dan Quinn is probably one of the most inspirational football coaches in the NFL, if not the most. Okay, he gets the best out of his players because he's a very powerful speaker. He's a very inspirational and insightful coach. And what he's doing out there in Washington, I hate that it's Josh Harris. I hate that dude. Okay. But I love it for guys that are real. Like, listen, I don't have no hate for Zach Ertz. I'll tell you what, man. Terry McLaurin, I couldn't, I want us to beat them, but I couldn't be happier for a guy like Terry McLaurin. There's another guy, Scary Terry, who gets zero notoriety because he played in Washington for all those years. Zero notoriety. Zero. Okay? This dude is a top 5 receiver in the NFL, and nobody even talks about him. He's a good guy at a game. Very spiritual leader. Okay? Does a lot of stuff in the community that people don't even talk about. He's a tremendous captain of a team. Okay? This dude can ball. This dude is so gifted. And I love watching the dude play. I do. So it's hard. It's obviously I'm rooting for my guys. Okay, I am. But I am happy for those guys getting there, man. Because he had crossing guards throwing him. Yeah, everybody knows. I get the crossing guard reference. I love it. Commanders play bully ball. So do we. So that's going to be interesting. Trevor says Bears look dumber and dumber. They do, man. They absolutely do. Think about that. They set that franchise back 5 years, man. 5 years. Commanders have a physical secondary. Listen, they do, but here's the thing, man. They did bring in Marshawn Lattimore because of this run. Veteran presence, physical. He can really. He's not a lockdown guy anymore, but he can play really well. And you're going up against guys like AJ Brown, Devonta Smith. You're going to need a guy like that. The question on Lattimore is he healthy enough, right? But when you have, whether you want to call him dirty or not about, Frankie Louvu, I don't care. But Louvu and Bobby Wagner have really, really formed a hell of a tandem out there in Washington. And, and again, this is all about, what the offense is doing as well. And, you got to give Cliff Kingsbury his flowers. And, everybody wanted to talk shit about Cliff Kingsbury, but as a head coach. But we've talked about this before on this show and other shows, that there's just some guys out there that aren't born to be head coaches. There are some guys that are, hell of a coordinator, brings me offensively, guys like Mike Martz. To me, Mike Martz was one of the best offensive play callers in the history of the NFL. North Turner, another guy, but head coach, don't think so. Right? Exactly. Cliff isn't the head coach. Stick to where you're at, Cliff, because what you're doing is you're calling a hell of a game plan. Right? That's I never understood. Right? Why these players wouldn't just stay there, just continue to get paid, right? I don't know. Just my idea, right? Javon says, I know Dallas wishes they would have kept Dan Quinn. You're right. Steve says Pickett he did, but Lattimore had a bad hammy. Got to understand that. Like that's the thing with Lattimore. When they traded for him, they already knew that he had a bad hammy, and he was working through it. So he's still not 100% Lattimore. That's the thing. That's why I don't even look at that game. So Lattimore, again, it's all about health with him. Javon's watched us play clean football and got turnovers, which has been the key for the Eagles. It's going to be exactly. You're right. You know how we talk about it all the time, Javon. It's that chess match, right? It's not going to be, Kellen Moore. I don't even know who the defensive coordinator is at Watch. I forget. But Kingsbury versus Fangio it's going to be a masterclass, man. It's going to be interesting. Mike says, age-old question: does Jaden look like a celeb if you went to the Bears because of coach? Yeah, you know what? I don't know. That's the thing. I don't think he does. I don't think he does, Mike. I think that the veteran leadership. I mean, I know what they try to do out there with the receivers for Caleb Williams. With DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. But I just, the overall nucleus of that team, I don't think was strong enough. Obviously their coach was a bonehead in Eberflus, and they just didn't have the nucleus of the culture. So, that's why I brought in Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn is the guy that definitely brings that kind of element to a team. And especially when you're building a young team and you're bringing veterans like Austin Eckler. But what is not Austin Eckler for? I mean, Brian Robinson just getting healthy. He's running out of his mind, right? And he's just getting healthier, right? It's crazy. That team is it's a really good team, really good team. But I'm still there for the Philadelphia Eagles. Still there. Could have folded, melted, and just got. Yeah, it felt every time I watch them. I was like, yeah, dude, I don't feel it on this team, man. Like they everything was the negative energy was coming right through the screen, man. It was literally coming right through the screen. That negative energy was coming right through the screen. So yeah, I 100% agree. 100% agree. So yeah, I felt it too. He says Quinn has balls. He does. Dan Quinn's got some big balls, man. He does. But listen, man, this has been great, man. We're gonna finish this up. We're gonna wrap this up. Like I said, I want to keep these to an hour and a half. We have guests. We didn't have guests, but a lot of great comments. I appreciate everybody that checking in. Much appreciated. Continue to go on YouTube, like and subscribe. Thanks for getting on. Listen, what I'm trying to do, Mike, just so everybody knows, is I'm going to try to consistently be Monday and Thursdays. The Tony Cutillo Show will be live for an hour and a half, and then there'll be segments throughout the week, man. My man Mike, thanks, brother. As always, I appreciate you hopping on, and I appreciate you. I know what you did too, which is awesome. I much appreciate it. You flipped from Facebook over to YouTube to flip my algorithm up, which I greatly appreciate. I'm trying to build this organically. So everybody who has not liked or subscribed to the YouTube page, please go over to YouTube, Tony Cutillo Show, like and subscribe. Much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel. You'll see a lot of different content going up. My man Adam, check it out. Listen, Adam, man, I'm going back to old school, bro. I'm going back to old school. Nighttime shows. I got a great opportunity during the day. Has nothing, you guys know I do PR and marketing, and I got a great marketing gig during the day for 4 hours a day, which is fantastic. Through my PR company. So I flipped the script a little bit, go back to nighttime shows, which is cool. I still get to do what I love, still get to do what's profitable during the day. And everybody's happy, right? So we're doing it. We're doing big things over here at the Tony Cutillo Show. My man Steve, check it in. 14-7 Ohio State. We'll see what happens with that game. My man Steve, Steve, thanks for checking in and all the comments and bringing the heat, man. Much appreciated. Exactly. Keep family time going. Of course, brother. Of course. You know that. You know how I roll. 100%, man. 100%. As always, make sure you're liking and subscribe. Make sure you get over, if you are a betting guy, check out my betting picks page over there at Odd Shopper. The link is in the description as well. I just posted today. I have an X account specifically for betting. Okay, so called @BetWithJigsaw. Okay, @BetWithJigsaw, and it is called the Jigsaw Society. I just posted today. And again, listen, we're up 10 units, all plus money prop train. We're up 10 units since January 1st. I got all the picks tracked. And if you were to spend $5 on each pick that I put out every day, you're up $70. It's $20 a month for the plus money prop train. Just throwing it out there. So not only are you playing with house money, you just pay for your next 2 months, and it's only the 20th of Again, only the 20th of January. So best $20 that you'll ever spend. I can guarantee you that. Very, very easy. And it helps support me as well, which I greatly appreciate. But I'm going to get out of here. Yes, Adam, I got the hand warmers ready tomorrow. I got everything ready. We were off today. Again, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Shout out to the King. As always, man, breaking barriers and doing things. So, I will be warm tomorrow on the corner. But everybody, as always, man, stay safe, stay healthy. I'll catch you next time. We'll be back here on Thursday, live Thursday night, but in between, you'll catch some segments as well because I'm going to go watch Raw on Netflix. So I'll be breaking down Raw either later tonight or tomorrow, and then breaking down some bets as always for the championship weekend. So everybody have a great night. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll catch you back here next time.